Some relationships do not break you all at once. They break you slowly, through distance, mixed signals, emotional inconsistency. One day they feel close, the next day they feel unreachable. And when you are relating to someone with avoidant patterns, the hardest part is this: they may not want to be cruel. They may or may not yell. They may or may not insult you. They may or may not openly betray you. But they can still create emotional instability. And instability changes people. You start watching your words more carefully. You start suppressing needs. You stop bringing up certain feelings because every difficult conversation seems to create more distance. Over time, you begin adjusting yourself just to keep the connection stable. That is where self-abandonment begins. Not always through dramatic toxicity, but through the quiet pattern of one person reaching for closeness while the other keeps retreating from it. And this is important to understand. Avoidant behavior may come from fear. It may come from childhood wounds, emotional overwhelm, or a nervous system that learned independence felt safer than vulnerability. But understanding the reason for the behavior does not erase the extreme negative impact of it. A reason is not the same thing as an excuse. Because when someone repeatedly withdraws instead of communicating, your nervous system starts trying to solve the instability. And you cannot correct an internal problem. They developed long before you arrived. But instead of radically asking, is this relationship going to satisfy what you need? Instead, you lower your self-worth and begin asking, how do I become easier for this person to love me? You become more patient, more careful, more emotionally restrained. You start calling emotional survival understanding. But sometimes it is not understanding. Sometimes it is self-erasure. Under the idea of adaptation, healthy love does not require you to constantly minimize yourself to keep another person comfortable. And one of the hardest truths about avoidant dynamics is this: the relationship can contain real love and still be emotionally unhealthy. The chemistry can be real. The affection can be real. The connection can feel meaningful. But relationships are not built only on moments of closeness. They are built on consistency, repair, challenges, emotional responsibility, the ability to stay present when vulnerability, conflict, or discomfort appears. That is often where avoidant patterns struggle most, not in attraction, in sustained emotional presence. And over time, resentment begins to grow. Not because you stopped caring, but because your body gets tired of carrying the emotional weight of the relationship, tired of over-explaining, tired of waiting, tired of pretending confusion feels normal, tired of accepting emotional crumbs, because you remember how beautiful the beginning felt. And eventually, you realize something painful. You have been working a lot harder to preserve the connection than the other person has. That imbalance matters, because love cannot survive when one person protects distance, while the other keeps sacrificing themselves to maintain closeness. This does not mean the avoidant person is intentionally evil. They may genuinely care. They may be wounded. They may truly struggle with intimacy. But care without consistency still creates pain. At some point, you have to stop focusing only on their intentions and start paying attention to the pattern. How does this relationship actually make you feel? More grounded or more anxious? More secure or more emotionally uncertain? Because the nervous system does not only respond to love, it responds to safety. And if a relationship constantly leaves you feeling unstable, overfocused, emotionally abused, or afraid of losing the connection, that matters. You should not have to abandon yourself just to keep a relationship functioning. You should not have to become smaller to be easier to stay close to. And if loving someone slowly made you lose parts of yourself, that is not something to ignore, But if the pattern kept making you anxious, emotionally alone, and exhausted, then the pattern was telling the truth. You were becoming psychologically destroyed. Sometimes love is present, but emotional capacity is not, and those are not the same thing. To put it plain and simple, sometimes love is not enough.